NamokiMODS is known in the industry as having some of the best quality parts for modding your watch. About a year ago they launched their DIY watches and their selection has grown. I really wanted to check out their Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 Homage since I owned the 40mm version and sold it in hopes of buying the smaller version. To my good fortune, this watch measures in at 36mm by 42mm and a thickness of 11mm, very similar to the smaller automatic PRX that measures in at 35mm by 39mm, and it's about 10.9mm thick. The watch with the unsized bracelet weighs in at 145 grams and it has 100 meters of water resistance. This DIY NRX sports watch is offered in 4 different dial colors: silver, forest green, sky blue, and this navy blue. The watch kit costs $317, but I opted for a see-through display case back, that's an additional $37, and a decorated rotor, that's an additional $42. All in all, the watch costs $396. That's still less expensive than a D1 Milano and a Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. Assembly should be relatively easy, but if you're me, then it's a total opposite. For starters, I broke the wrong legs in the back of the dial. You know, the ones that are supposed to go into the movement to hold the dial in place, and the seconds hand. I couldn't for the life of me put it on. I will stick with videography and photography and simply admiring watches as opposed to working on them. Therefore, throughout the video, please don't mind the crooked dial and the missing seconds hand. I did reach out to NamokiMODS and they said I had 2 options for fixing this issue. Number 1 is to buy another dial, and number 2 is to put a small piece of double-sided tape on the back of the dial. I think I will start with the latter and go from there. When the watch is fully assembled, it truly stops you in your tracks and makes you realize that you're getting a watch for way less money than the D1 Milano and the PRX, yet the quality is very much in par. Don't get me wrong, the watch is not perfect and the finishing is not the same as the other 2 mentioned, but for a fraction of the cost, you ultimately are getting a great watch. The tapisserie dial is very much an homage to the Royal Oak, and I love the fume effect on it. The hands take inspiration from the Patek Philippe Nautilus, and I think they play very well with the overall design. We find the applied Namoki logo at the 12 o'clock, and that's it. I love the minimalistic approach. All the indices have been applied, and at the 3 o'clock we find a wide date window. The case is well constructed and it features a mixture of brushing and polishing. The bezel itself is polished and plays very well with the look of the clear air-coated sapphire crystal. At the 3 o'clock we find a 4.8mm screw-down crown. I think Namoki should have offered this watch with a slightly bigger crown, but hey, you can always purchase a bigger one from them. The lume is pretty decent on this watch. It's been applied on the indices and the hands. Not the brightest I've seen, but then again, this is not a dive watch. The lume they're using is C3 Superluminova. That typically lasts for about 7 to 10 hours, and according to Namoki, it will match the stock SoCal Lumibrite hands and any of their watch hands options perfectly. The integrated bracelet measures in at 24mm and it tapers down to 18mm at the clasp. The bracelet is beautiful but feels a little rough on the edges. The articulation is smooth and the bracelet has this shimmer when it hits the light. I appreciate the use of screws to size the bracelet, and the butterfly clasp is easy to open. Lastly, just like the PRX, this bracelet also offers a quick release system. Perhaps Namoki's working on rubber straps? When we flip the watch over, we see what's powering this watch. The SoCal manufactured automatic NH35A caliber that has 24 joules, beats at 21,600 beats per hour, has a power reserve of 41 hours, comes with a bidirectional winding rotor. The caliber comes with a date complication, and of course the movement can be hacked and hand wound. For the price point, this movement is a no-brainer. It's reliable, and instead of servicing it, you can just buy a new one from these guys for $46. The watch in my opinion fits and feels great on my 6 and 7/8 inch wrists. I really need to fix the dial so I can put this watch in my watch rotation. Let me end with this. The watch is not perfect, but Namoki's constantly refining their products, so I'm confident that my constructive criticism will not fall on deaf ears. I would highly recommend this watch for anyone looking for an inexpensive, well-constructed integrated bracelet watch. However, be sure to know what you're doing when assembling the watch, unlike me. Stay safe out there, thank you for watching, and stay humble, my friends.